Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joy at Work. It's July 17, 2020. It's a Friday, so let's bring on the weekend here. MLS is back, and even though Atlanta United's not doing that great, I'm just happy to be able to watch football. Yes, I caught myself there, football. Even though, the stadiums are empty, it's still cool to be able to do that. I hope you're all staying safe. Let's jump right into it. Today, I want to talk about feedback, and there's so many aspects to this that it's probably going to take a few videos to talk about this. But I'll start off by just saying, like, we always expect feedback, or we generally expect feedback to come to us in formal ways, right? So, Eb, hey, I have got some feedback for you, and that's a common way we receive feedback. But we also receive a ton of feedback in informal ways when your boss says, "Hey, that was a great job," or somebody says, "I like working with you," or somebody says, "I don't like working with you," right? Those are all forms of feedback that we're getting, even though they're not explicitly labeled as feedback and come across in an informal way. It is still feedback for us. And so we're always receiving feedback. And if we pay attention, to this, we have an opportunity to learn from it. At the same time, feedback is a gift. We say that all the time. It's a gift. You get to decide what you want to do with feedback. You can say, "Hey, this is noise. I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm going to throw it in the trash, and there it goes." Or you can say, "There's something here. There's signal. Where there's a signal, let me dig deep into this." So feedback really becomes your choice on how you want to deal with it. And Douglas Stone and Sheila Heen wrote a great book, Thank You for Your Feedback, on this very, very point that at the end of the day, it's up to us to determine what we're going to do with our feedback. They also point out that most of us in our careers and our personal lives won't get as much direct feedback as we probably should. So they provide advice for how we can be proactive in seeking out feedback and paying attention to how people interact with us to glean feedback from it. It's a great book. I would recommend anybody who's interested on getting more, becoming more aware of feedback to get it and read it. For me, it was really, really helpful. And one of the things they highlight in that book is the things that get in the way of us receiving feedback well. So the question is, how many of you do well with feedback that challenges your identity? Well, if you're like me, probably not great, right? You get defensive immediately, say, "No, no, 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 this can't be about me," right? I project this image of myself. I believe these things, and this piece of feedback you're giving me doesn't jive. So this is not me. This feedback isn't for me. You might say, for example, "I'm a pretty kind person," or "I listen well," or "I'm fair," whatever it is, whatever you claim about yourself, and then somebody says, "No, no, 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 you weren't kind to me," or "You were unfair," right? Those types of feedback can be very, very upsetting because they are about us and who we are, or at least who we claim to be. And so it's very, very easy for us to reject that kind of feedback out of hand, because that just doesn't jive with the image of ourselves that we have. While that's a great defense mechanism, right? It's part of how we as human beings protect ourselves. It also potentially prevents ourselves from growing in ways that we did not anticipate. And so it's very, very important, at least in my view, that when you get feedback, especially feedback now that challenges your identity, that you actually take the time to unpack that you work with that person to see where they're coming from and what they might be saying. Now, I'm not suggesting that that person is interpreting or making sense of your interactions correctly. No, they could be off, and it's an opportunity for you to educate and bring them up to speed on why you did what you did, and how maybe it was fair. They just were looking at it the wrong way. But there's also the chance, actually, there's probably a healthy chance that there's something for you to pick up from that encounter. There's a change or changes you can make in the way you've been operating, and the way you've been doing things. Often we think we are one way, to be honest with you. And then when we interact with people, we recognize we are not necessarily all the things we say we are. And we need those other people to sort of be a mirror for us to say, hey, there's something you need to clean up here, or something you need to do a little bit differently. And so I think it's extremely important when we get feedback that goes to our identity to assess it. Don't just discard it, but assess it. Pick it up and say, hey, let me see what's here. Let me work through it. Again, the feedback's yours. You can decide that you're not going to do anything with it. That's totally your prerogative. But don't deny yourself, I guess is a great way to say. Don't deny yourself an opportunity to learn something about yourself, an opportunity to make some changes to who you are, positive changes to who you are. So feedback that's tied to our identity, feedback that's tied to our core values, uh, might provide us with an opportunity for learning. And that's what we want to do. So when it happens at work or outside of work, don't just reject it out of hand. Listen, take it, assess it, and maybe there's something there. All right. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. And don't forget to share and click on that bell, subscribe. Bye.